Tonight on News 5 Live, the Director of Health Services, Marvin Manzanero, is placed on administrative leave. A new species of fish is identified in Belizean waters. The PUP looks back on its first 100 days in office, and maritime law enforcement combats violence at sea. Details of these stories and more coming up in tonight's newscast.
It's a fact that you can access unlimited services with Smart. Tired of being measured or cut off when you need to be connected? It's a fact that when you sign up for Smart's Plus plan, you get unlimited talk, text, and unlimited data. And it's a fact that you can sign up with your group of up to 5 members for Smart's Share plans and up to 40 members for Smart's Enterprise plans for unlimited talk, text, and data. Smart has the true unlimited plans. That's a fact. Be smart and live smart.
Electricity. We use it to power our appliances, charge our devices, and light our home. Let's all practice energy conservation at home and in the workplace. That's unplug chargers when not in use, lights off when not in the room, turn off fans and TVs. You can also look for Energy Star products and change lights to LEDs, which reduce energy cost. Let's all save energy.
My name is Kira Pinello, I was born in Belize City and I moved around a lot until I settled here in Belmopan. I'm technically a second-generation insurance agent. My grandmother was in the industry for over 40 years. I saw the love she had for what she did and the love she had for her customers. It wasn't just about providing a service, but it was about creating friendship. I am your neighbor, I am your friend. I am your RF&G agent.
Find your nearest RF&G agent on our website at rfginsurancepolice.com, where it pays to get it right.
$675,853 can be all yours with just one $2 Mega Bingo ticket. Don't miss your chance to win it all. Catch the next show airing on Wednesday, February 24th, live on Channel 5, Wave Radio, and Radio Bahia at 8 p.m. You can also tune into the game on YouTube and Facebook. Just log in and search for Belize Mega Bingo. Over $675,000 might just have your name on it, so don't let this opportunity pass you by. You might just be the next jackpot winner. Mega Bingo is the game.
Belizeans will once again go to the polls on March 3rd for municipal elections 2021. Channel 5 will bring you all-day live coverage from all 9 municipalities. Our nationwide correspondents and in-studio analysts will provide you with up-to-date reports and commentary from 6 a.m. until the last vote is counted and results declared. Municipal Elections 2021, Wednesday, March 3rd, live on Channel 5 and on our Facebook and YouTube pages.
Love is a connection that should last forever. This February, NextGen is sharing the love with amazing promo deals for everyone. Reconnect or install with NextGen for free. Sign up for our affordable cable and high-speed internet plans and get 1 month free on your acquired service. But that's not all. New and reconnecting customers can now receive 1 month free MyTV subscription when you sign up with us anytime in February. Some restrictions apply. For more information on our promotions and services, contact us at 0800-222-5388 or via our social media platforms. NextGen, powered by Central TV and Internet.
Yo, Griga, make sure you do the right thing, you know. Vote for Team Robert Mariano. Don't know. They want different thing, right? So make we vote PUP. In this election, we have vote for the right man. A man for Griga, we have vote for a brand new mayor. We have vote Mariano, vote Robert Mariano, vote Mariano, vote PUP. Came on. Aston Padillo, came on. Harris Valentine, came on. Sean Flores, came on. Howard Flores, came on. Martha Robinson, came on. Liberato Teul, came on. Dambugana, came on. PUP. Mariano will work closely with our central government. Oh yes, he will. He's the man.
Good evening. Welcome to News 5 Live for Tuesday, February 23rd. I am Marlene Cuellar. The saga continues. News 5 has confirmed that the Director of Health Services, Dr. Marvin Manzanero, has been placed on administrative leave, pending investigation of alleged misconduct. That's the information coming to News 5 this afternoon after the embattled DHS was reportedly sent home effective today for 5 days. We have confirmed that on Monday, Dr. Manzanero was given a letter to sign saying that he was willing to take the demoted position at the HIV unit of the Ministry of Health and Wellness. However, he was advised not to sign the letter, and so today, disciplinary action is being brought against the DHS for something that happened before the current administration took office. According to our sources, the letter accuses him of contributing to the number of COVID-19 mortalities by failing to take up Belize Agricultural Health Authority on an offer to use their lab to speed up testing results in the second quarter of 2020. The Association of Public Service Senior Managers, which has come out against what seems to be an attack on Dr. Manzanero, continues to monitor what is happening. News 5's attempt to reach CEO Daisy Mendez for comment was not successful. There were a number of home invasions recorded over the past week, including in Toledo. On the afternoon of February 17th, William Hott of Yemery Grove Village reported that armed burglars entered his residence and stole a number of items, including his licensed firearm. ACP Joseph Maivet, during Monday's police press briefing, shared details of the aggravated burglary at the home of the elderly man.
Sometime around 10 a.m. on the said date, he had departed his home en route to Punta Gorda town to conduct businesses, leaving his worker or his caretaker behind guarding his home. Upon his arrival sometime around 12:30 p.m., upon approaching his home in his vehicle, he was met and accosted by 3 dark-complexioned male persons who were armed and as well as wearing masks. As a result, himself and his worker were bounded, where they were asked for and demanded as well for monies, where the home was ransacked. His licensed shotgun, which was inside his vehicle, was taken by those persons. After they had left the area, he managed to free himself, where he made his way to the chairman of the village, who then called the police, who came in to conduct an investigation into the matter, where the scene was processed. We are following several leads in respect to this investigation, but so far no one has yet been detained.
After the break, mangrove clearing and illegal seaside transactions, the environmental threats in Belize City.
Hello friends, this is Dr. Bob Roberts with another 60-second sermon from God's Word.
The Bible says, Then Pilate called Jesus and said unto him, Art thou the King of the Jews? Jesus answered him, Sayest thou this thing of thyself, or did others tell it thee of me? Throughout my travels, I have found in every home old Bibles, pianos, organs, clocks, antique furniture, and other treasures that have been handed down from one generation to the next. But there's one thing you cannot get to heaven with, and that is a hand-me-down religion. As one old deacon used to say, you can't get to heaven on your mother's apron strings or your father's coat tail. Jesus must personally be embraced. John Wesley, the founder of the Methodist denomination, discovered that being a Christian involved a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. He had always thought that he was a true Christian until one day on a ship caught in a storm on the Atlantic Ocean, fear got a hold of him. He noticed the only people on board who was not fear-stricken were a group of Moravian missionaries. Later, when the storm was abated, he asked one of them, Were you not afraid? Afraid, said the Moravian. Why should I be afraid? I know Christ. And then looking at Wesley with disconcerting frankness asked, Do you know Christ? John Wesley for the first time realized that he did not, and there on that ship gave his life to Christ. You say that you are a Christian, but I ask you the question that Jesus asked Pilate, Sayest thou this thing of thyself, or did others tell it thee of me? You can't get to heaven, friend, on a hand-me-down religion.
Today's 60-second sermon has been presented by Christian Foundations of Faith in cooperation with the Baptist churches in your area.
On Wednesday, 3rd March 2021, voters of the 9 municipalities will have an opportunity to elect the members to constitute their councils. On your ballot, it is your decision and choice. Exercise it. Be assured that the COVID-19 protocols will be in place for your safe voting. Let your decision be your choice. Voters must properly wear their face mask or other face, nose, and mouth covering, maintain consistent 6 feet social distancing, and sanitize hands before entering the polling station. Having entered the polling station, the voter shows his voter identification card and announces his name in an audible voice. All voters will be required to temporarily remove their face mask or nose and mouth covering for the purpose of verifying the facial identity of the voter. The first poll clerk verifies the particular of the voter on the voters list, while the second poll clerk verifies the particulars in the binder. The voter's name is then ruled off the voters list. The voter is then required to show his right index finger to ensure that he has not yet voted. The voter's right index finger is then sanitized. Allow finger to dry for 5 seconds before dipping it up to the first joint in the indelible ink. The voter is then directed to the presiding officer, who then initials a ballot paper and issues it to the voter, along with a sanitized pencil. The voter then proceeds to the polling booth and marks a cross on the right-hand side of the ballot, opposite the name of the candidates of his choice. With the ballot paper folded to conceal the vote, the voter shows the presiding officer her initials, places the ballot paper inside the ballot box, and then places the pencil in the container for used pencil for resanitization. The voter then exits the polling station. Remember, you are permitted to vote in Belize City for 1 mayor and 10 councillors. In Belmopan City and Towns, for 1 mayor and 6 councillors. Disabled, elderly, and pregnant women will be given priority. Electors are encouraged to take along their voter identification card to their polling station to facilitate the process. Your ballot paper will be considered void if it does not have the presiding officer's initials, if the voter has voted for more candidates than there are seats, if the ballot paper is not marked for any candidate, if the ballot paper contains any mark that can identify the voter, and if the ballot paper is unmarked or void for uncertainty. Let your decision be your choice. Always remember to follow all COVID-19 protocols to keep safe. A message brought to you by the Elections and Boundaries Department.
Unlike the other guys, Digi doesn't throttle customers down to 3G.
Which is why anyone would be a fool not to invest. So, do we have a deal? Hello? Hello?
Instead, Digi offers more LTE speeds in all mobile phone plans.
You, sir, are brilliant. Thank you for doing business with us.
Plus, the most affordable prepaid mobile data plans starting as low as $1.
An employee of the Citrus Products of Belize Limited was killed on the job. The heavy machine operator was out working on a farm when the machine he was driving crushed him to death. The family is still trying to come to terms with the freak accident, while CPBL and police are reviewing the incident. Reporter Andrea Polanco has this story.
Tractor operator for CPBL Juan Garcia died on the job on Monday evening. Garcia was on a tractor spraying herbicide on this orange grove at mile 12 in Pomona Village.
Garcia was asked up there to do herbiciding in our grove. He's one of our senior tractor operators. He was assigned to do herbiciding in the Pomona area. Now he left our compound around 1 o'clock. And a task which we believe would have taken him maybe up to probably 2 hours. And so he would have returned to base, let's say, around 3:30.
But Garcia never returned to work base that evening, so the farm supervisor went to look for him. Around 4 that day, he found Garcia already dead. He had been crushed to death under the tractor he was driving.
When he got there, he reported that what he saw was the tractor overturned. The tractor that Mr. Garcia was operating was overturned, and Mr. Garcia was struck under the tractor. And so what this Daniel did, of course, he immediately contacted our health and safety unit and the police.
Garcia's family say that they found out about the tragic accident closer to 5 on Monday evening. According to sister-in-law Daisy Paredes, it's hard to tell what happened because Garcia was alone when he died. The family suspects that the weight of the herbicide may have toppled the tractor.
Then said that he get in an accident around 2:33, but my niece them never did find out until 5:30. So that just was shocking news to find out that he done dead. Well, my niece them just gone and they explained to him that they said that the tractor where he made it drive, me overloaded with poison. So the weight flipped over the tractor and that when it dropped up on my brother and it smashed her.
CFO Kent Herrera says that the company is reviewing its occupational safety procedures to determine if anything went wrong that day. He says, however, that the tractor was in proper working condition, and based on what they observed, he doesn't believe the weight of the chemical was responsible for toppling the tractor, which killed Garcia.
We do have a service center, and we do have a machine shop here that services these equipment, and we do have an agriculture unit as well that costs the drivers for the work that they are supposed to undertake in any particular day. So, of course, we'll be looking back at all of that, what happened, what transpired. What we do know, though, that the herbicide rig that was attached to that tractor, given the time that Mr. Garcia was there herbiciding, we believe that the rig would have been almost empty. As a matter of fact, when we visited the site, Mr. Garcia was pretty much on the last row, on the last row of groves for herbiciding. And when we did get there, the rig with the chemicals, the herbicide chemicals, was almost empty, which would have tied in with what we would have expected, that once that comes, so it takes about 2 hours, more or less, to empty.
The police are now investigating this incident. Reporting for News 5, I'm Andrea Polanco.
The company says that they have reached out to the family to provide support. It's a scenic spot enjoyed by many who live in the Caribbean Shores area of Belize City. But this week, residents discovered wooden posts being erected, obstructing the view and preventing them from using the boat launch. Area Representative Karim Musa says he found out just days ago that in June of 2020, 5 multi-service located on Buttonwood Bay Boulevard had been granted title of this prime sea frontage in West Landiva by Dolphin Park for the meager price of $2,000.
This is an easement. This is a legal easement that the community has and the members of this community have for using this particular easement as far back as the 80s. Now, much to my shock and awe, after we graded the boat launch last week, I was notified that this particular area of the reserve had been issued. A title over this reserve had been issued by the past administration. On the tail end of their administration, we're talking June of 2020, on their way out. And it is not as though they were not aware that this is a protected area because it is gazetted. And in order for you to de-reserve an area that is protected such as this one, you need to also gazette the fact that you're de-reserving it. And that was never done. And so what we have here today, the concerned residents have come out, they have asked for an audience with me because this has to be overturned one way or another. And I'm talking in the very least short term, this must be removed immediately. And so the private landowner who has this, and I'm told that it is a company, Tech Multi-Service Limited, that company, Tech, needs to take this down, is what they need to do. Because this is an easement that has been enjoyed by the residents of this community for so many years.
Meanwhile, there is another land issue brewing in Belize City. Residents near the Antonio Sobranes Crescent are concerned the cutting of mangroves along the Holover Creek could spell trouble for them, causing future flooding.
It is tagged as a private property for sale on the bank of the Holover Creek in the Belama Phase 1 area of Belize City. But what is now clay and landfill was once a large mangrove patch that has been cleared for development.
We don't know if there's been any environmental impact assessment done by the people who are cutting down the mangrove patches here. And if you notice along the street as well, the street was washing away, and so we decided as a community to come together to plant back mangroves along the street. And so we are very, very concerned about the impacts of what this type of development can have on our community.
Brighton Cod is among several residents who back in 2015 had made a complaint to the government about the development when there was movement in the area. A stop order was issued back then, but now it would appear that the green light was given for the mangroves to be removed. Cod, a former environmental science major who worked with the Ministry of Sustainable Development, says that the clearing goes against environmental law.
It's against environmental law to cut mangroves along the waterway, especially a main waterway like this. This is where the Belize River passes. And you should have a 60-feet buffer of what is called riparian forest along the waterway, or else it's a breach of environmental law. And so we spoke to Dr. Barnett, and she had them stop it for a while. And then I also reached out to the Department of Environment and specifically had a message left for the Chief Forest Officer. And they said that they would have someone come and look at it. And well, now we're here at this situation where the entire area has been cut to the ground, and we have loss of biodiversity, and we have no complete disregard for the principles of a community that really looks forward to sustainable development around us.
According to residents, the impact has already been seen during the recent flooding of Hurricanes Iota and Eta, where water rose to levels never seen before in the area. COD questions whether an environmental impact assessment was done and what mitigation efforts were considered.
This entire area used to be a mangrove patch, and it provided biodiversity, home. It provided essential ecosystem services. It acted as a natural sink when there is floods and stuff like that, so the community around is not affected. But now that this entire area has been cleared, now it makes things a bit more difficult for people in the community because we don't know what the impacts of the flood would be. Actually, with the recent flooding, we have already seen that more and more houses are being affected. Families are being affected with the floods, and this is not an area that used to flood like that.
Dwayne Moody for News 5.
A new species of freshwater fish commonly known as pacu has been discovered in the New River Lagoon by fishermen from nearby Lemanal. Pacu is an omnivorous fish that originated in South America and is related to the piranha. Unlike its distant cousin, pacu do not have similar teeth. Instead, they have squarer, straighter teeth, much like those of humans. The sighting was made earlier this month, and the presence of this invasive, non-native species suggests that it may have been introduced via the transboundary watershed between Belize and Guatemala. According to Rigoberta Quintana, the Fisheries Department became aware of the discovery on February 11th.
At this point, we would probably link it to transboundary introduction. It could be that during extreme flood events, this species might have migrated either from Petén area or has been introduced from Mexico. During flood events, the two watersheds, the New River and the Rio Hondo, would merge together. In 2013, we had a report of a similar sighting in the Rio Hondo mouth. This was from Ecosur, not from Quintana Roo. So we have records of past introduction in our waterways. This is an exotic invasive species. Usually it is a native to South America. This species is classified as detritivore, meaning that it feeds on decomposed organic material in the aquatic ecosystem. It's not a carnivorous fish, but yet it poses some threats to the aquatic environment in Belize.
How do we know, perhaps,
how fast the species is reproducing, or what can we say in terms of its propagation?
Okay, we will be monitoring the situation and also encourage fishers if they see or they capture other specimens of this, and we'll be doing a mapping of the New River Lagoon and New River. If indeed it's been established, then based on studies we will be able to find out if there are more or they're reproducing or a population has been established in the area.
So what have they accomplished in the first 100 days in office? The Prime Minister reflects when we come back.
In the first 100 days of the new administration, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Trade and Immigration has made great strides in advancing Belize's foreign policy and citizenship and immigration services in support of our national interests. Led by Foreign Minister Eamon Courtney, the Foreign Ministry has conducted high-level meetings with the Foreign Ministers of CARICOM and SICA. Bilateral meetings have been held with the ambassadors from Cuba, the EU, Guatemala, India, Italy, Japan, Mexico, Taiwan, the UK, the US, as well as the OAS, the UN Resident Coordinator, and the UNICEF representative. New ambassadorial and diplomatic appointments were announced to Mexico, the US and the OAS, Taiwan, the UK, Belgium and the EU, Cuba, Guatemala, El Salvador, and the United Nations headquarters. The Ministry continues to stridently support the Ministry of Health and Wellness's efforts to acquire COVID-19 vaccines and other initiatives through engagements with bilateral partners. With the government's strong commitment to climate action and sustainable development, the Ministry facilitated Belize's accession to the International Solar Alliance, an initiative by India and France to drive solar energy innovations in Belize. In the aftermath of Hurricanes Eta and Iota, the Ministry convened the Foreign Assistance Committee to coordinate support from donors to assist families affected by the floods in the form of food and household supplies, and PPEs were sourced for aid workers. The Office of the Agent to the International Court of Justice, in collaboration with its international lawyers, is preparing Belize's counter-memorial, which will strongly assert Belize's claim to all its territory, islands, and seas in accordance with international law. In the area of foreign trade, the Ministry has been equally active. The Ministry worked to reach an out-of-court settlement with St. Kitts and Nevis to end a dispute over trade in brown sugar. To secure Belize's access to the UK market following Brexit, Belize has now begun to provisionally apply the UK CARIFORUM Economic Partnership Agreement since January 2021. With the objective of deepening Belize's market opportunities for agricultural exports, 3 CARICOM bilateral trade agreements with Colombia, Venezuela, and the Dominican Republic were ratified. The Ministry has further partnered with stakeholders to reduce the time and costs associated with the clearance of goods at border points. In the area of immigration, the Ministry has launched an improved website for the Department of Immigration as a one-stop shop for Belize's immigration services. The The wet stamps on the passports of permanent and temporary residents have been upgraded to identification cards. The ministry is further developing a new and modernized passport system, which would also include e-passports. Regarding border management, the ministry has collaborated with the IOM in installing the implemented Advanced Passenger Information System at the Philip Golson International Airport. In response to the COVID-19 pandemic and in support of the reopening of the Corozal Free Zone, security at the northern border has been effectively reinforced. Much has been accomplished in 100 days, but there is far more work to do. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Trade and Immigration is committed to advancing the development interests of Belize.
We all know the importance of running water and proper drainage in your home. That's why we rely on a fully functional plumbing system. At Benny's, we have all the plumbing supplies and accessories you need. Our pipes, fittings, valves, and adapters are made from durable quality materials. Remember to wash your hands with clean running water from your faucet. We have kitchen and bathroom faucets in various styles and finishes. Whether for installation or maintenance, make sure to use recommended PVC cleaner, solvent, and Teflon tape to fix or prevent leaks. We also have the tools to get the job done. For all your residential, commercial, or industrial plumbing needs, shop at Benny's. Quality and savings.
The first 100 days are often critical for any political party upon assuming office. Not only does it serve as a transition period for an incoming administration, it is also an opportunity to start off on the right foot. Since taking office in November of last year, Prime Minister John Briceño has been occupied with the business of the country, which includes turning around its grim financial outlook. Having reached its initial milestone, the new People's United Party government is already looking back at the challenges it has had to overcome during the first 100 days. In reflecting, PM Briceño begins with the dismal state of Belize's economy and the extent to which the previous administration emptied the public purse.
After hearing from the former Prime Minister and the Financial Secretary, it was revealed that the 112 government vehicles were sold off for an average of only $2,600, some as low as $200. This is beyond shameful. Our starting point is clear. Our economy has collapsed. Personal income has fallen to 1992 levels. 68% of our labor force is either unemployed or underemployed. Unemployment is at 30%. 86 cents of every dollar that government collects are spent on wages, salaries, and pensions. Our debt to GDP ratio is at 134%, and the UDP left us this year alone with a $500 million deficit that we will all have to pay. This is our inherited starting point. This is what the UDP did to our country.
Hurdles aside, PM Briceño also lauded the accomplishments of his administration thus far, including the efforts of the Ministry of Health and Wellness at containing the spread of COVID-19.
Already in just 3 months, many positive results are showing. Our health team is leading the way to flattening the COVID curve. We have amended the legislation to strengthen the Public Accounts Committee. Our agriculture team is aggressively promoting our farm-to-table policy. Our National Security Ministry is moving towards innovation. Our Foreign Trade Ministry is opening up markets for our products. Our Education Ministry is preparing for schools to reopen safely. And our Economic Recovery team are all hands on deck to implement our recovery strategy. Our vaccine plan is ready and being fine-tuned for when the first vaccine arrives next month.
These things were possible because we consulted, and we're facing the challenges head-on, using our planned beliefs as our North Star. Let us continue to reach out to each other, especially the many struggling to put food on the table in this difficult time.
When we come back, reaching migrant communities in western and southern Belize. Pop-up clinics offer a range of services. Stay with us.
Todos estamos en riesgo de contraer la COVID-19, por lo que es importante reconocer rápidamente los signos y síntomas de la infección. Los síntomas más comunes son fiebre, tos seca y cansancio o fatiga. Algunas personas también pueden tener dolor de garganta, dolores y molestias, congestión nasal o diarrea. Pero algunas personas también han reportado conjuntivitis, dolor de cabeza, pérdida de sabor u olor, sarpullido en la piel o un cambio en el color de los dedos de las manos o los pies. Los signos de alarma de emergencia que requieren atención médica inmediata son dificultad extrema para respirar, dolor constante y severo o presión en el pecho, confusión, dificultad para hablar o moverse, labios, rostro, dedos de las manos o de los pies azulados. Para mayor información, llame al 0800-664-2273. Protejamos nuestra salud.
Hello. Okay, sure, I'll be there. Hello?
Hi, Mommy. When are you coming home? I really miss you.
Hearing the voice of our loved ones can always lift our spirits and make us feel whole again.
With Smart's twice as nice promotion, prepaid customers who make 5 minutes worth of national calls on Sundays can enjoy 50% off. Top double on all national calls for the rest of the day. Call your loved ones and enjoy half off all day long. Smart, bringing people together.
What a beautiful morning in Popsville. Time to check the crops. Uh-oh, the insects are back. Farmer Ricky plans to double his dosage to get rid of these pests once and for all. Oh no, no more insecticide. Well, off to the store we go. Hey, it's good old Joe.
Good morning, Joe. I'd like to get 4 bottles of Compound V, please. I'm double dosing to fight back the insects.
Compound V, you said? It doesn't sound familiar.
Let me see what you have.
Ricky, where did you get this product? It doesn't have proper label information and could be filled with highly hazardous chemicals called persistent organic pollutants. You should really get one that's POPs free, which is safer and approved for pest control. Ricky, it's time we talked about the dangers of misusing highly toxic pesticides. Some pesticides contain highly hazardous ingredients that can harm you and your loved ones if handled incorrectly. So when we improperly store pesticides, it can affect our health in the long and short term. To be safe, make sure to remember these following tips to avoid unnecessary chemical exposure. It's important to always read your label fully before using any treatment on your crops. To avoid dangerous contact with pesticides, including airborne insecticides, make sure to wear appropriate personal protective equipment. Apply the recommended chemical dosage and use far away from human contact and from active winds. To avoid cross-contamination, make sure to follow these simple steps to dispose of pesticide containers. And no matter what you do, don't throw it in any old waste bin. Always make sure to triple rinse, puncture, and store separately for proper disposal.
And for an even safer approach to pesticide use, consider switching to organic farming and other integrated pest management processes.
For more information on how to dispose of hazardous pesticides, contact your local waste management agency or visit stopthepops.com for more details. Sometimes danger lurks where you least expect it. The more you know, the healthier you can grow.
The Human Rights Commission of Belize is calling for justices of the peace to be appointed at the central prison following videos being circulated of what they term alleged atrocious, inhumane acts against prisoners. The commission says it could not be determined when these videos were made or if those in the video are current inmates, but says it is important for justices to be appointed in order to speak to prisoners and have unrestricted access to look into such allegations. In their letter to the Ministry of Home Affairs, the Human Rights Commission points out that the Prison Act does require that visiting justices of the peace be appointed within the first 2 weeks of each year, and that this has yet to be done. Mobile clinics are being sent to migrant communities in western and southern Belize as part of a joint effort between the United Nations Population Fund, UN Refugee Agency, United Nations Children Fund, and International Organization for Migration. According to UNICEF Belize, the pop-up clinics will allow for agencies to coordinate humanitarian assistance and support to respond to the emerging health issues such as domestic violence and reproductive health of migrants, refugees, and residents of their host communities. The clinics will also provide access to legal services, birth registration, psychosocial services, and to provide information on the asylum procedures. The mobile centers are expected to expand coverage for those who often cannot access established or more centralized service locations due to limited mobility, distance, insecurity, or other obstacles. The clinics will be rolled out in 3 phases, beginning with Bella Vista this week and continuing to the Valley of Peace at the end of March and mid-March in Benque Viejo. All those accessing the clinic will need to adhere to strict COVID-19 protocols. An appointment system is in place to manage flow of those seeking the mobile clinic services. And this just in, there is good news coming out from the Ministry of Health and Wellness, which is reporting that Belize will be receiving its first shipment of the COVID-19 vaccine from the government of Barbados. The donation of 1,000 single doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine will arrive at the PGIA by cargo flight on Wednesday and will be received by representatives from the Ministry of Health and Wellness. Belize continues in bilateral negotiations with other countries to source and buy additional COVID-19 vaccines for the country. The ministry anticipates the arrival of the COVAX vaccines at the end of March or the beginning of April. Valentine's Day may be a few weeks behind us, but it isn't stopping well-known Belizean musician Stig the Artist from releasing a new music video that's all about love. Shot in Placencia and Mohoki, the visual treatment accompanies a song that is being released on Wednesday on an EP he calls Isolation 2. The title of the extended play is a follow-up to a 3-song body of work released during the COVID lockdown in 2020. Stig shares more about Love You Forever with News 5.
I'm gonna love you forever, forever and ever, amen, 'cause we've been through it all.
The title says it all. Love You Forever. It's a love song that anyone could relate to, any age, and no explicit lyrics. It's not the regular Stig that everybody used to, with all the explicit lyrics or all the controversial bars. It's more an innocent song, a more pure, genuine love, real life situation. I personally made the song from stuff I was going through in my personal life, but I wanted to make it a little bit more realistic for people to relate to. So yeah.
So talk to us about the video itself, because I know that a lot of viewers would look at the production that went into the video and perhaps if there's any particular takeaway. What is that about?
Well, first off, shout out to Candice Williams, shot by Candice, who did my past 3 videos. We shot the video in Placencia at the Placencia Resort, and we wanted to capture Belize. I think this is the first time I really went to the south of Belize to showcase the beauty of that side of Belize. We also went to the Keys, we went to Mahawkey, and just showcase a lot of different places in Placencia. And also we have a couple in the video that's usually the videos I have that more, I'm not say make believe, but that we hire a model and you know it's just acting. This is an actual couple that is actually in love and that is actually about to get married. So it really depicts true love, you know, like the song says.
After the break, Dwayne Moody looks into piracy in Belizean waters.
The contamination of water we all depend on is a very urgent issue. As Belize's popularity and industries grow, challenges increase. In this episode, we will examine the issue of water pollution in Belize. Water pollution is the contamination of water bodies, usually because of human activities. Water bodies include lagoons, rivers, aquifers, and oceans. On the marine side, the discharge of sewage and bilge water from cruise ships and other live-aboard vessels, in combination with unregulated development of coastal areas, has led to the degradation of marine ecosystems such as mangroves and coral reefs. Our inland waters are facing their own challenges. As agricultural development increases, pesticides, fertilizers, and waste products are running off into rivers. Increased river traffic from boat tours and sugar barges adds to the already stressful conditions of the freshwater ecosystems. In addition, companies that collect sewage sometimes dump the waste right into the waterways. Additionally, in densely populated areas like Belize City and Orange Walk, poor sewage designs result in the contamination of groundwater and of water bodies by both sewage and wash water. In many cases, homes and businesses dump their wastewater directly into drains, which leads to rivers and the sea. Wastewater, detergents, and petroleum collect in drains that empty into waterways, such as the New River and the Belize River. This, along with the runoff and discharges from the agricultural and industrial businesses, have been inadequately monitored and enforced. The answers to overcoming water pollution issues are fourfold: improved infrastructure, adequate treatment, increased legislation and monitoring, and of course, changing our habits for the better. While it is urgent that better management on a policy level is needed, there are a few things we can do at home to help. Ensure proper treatment systems are installed for all wastewater at your home and business. Don't dispose of oil from your automobiles or cooking and household detergents down the drain. And lastly, minimize the usage of chemicals and fertilizers and report any dumping into waterways to the Department of the Environment. The government has recognized the threat of inadequate liquid waste management and is working toward goals of reducing and reversing its effects. For more information on what's being done about water pollution and ways you can help, visit our website at doe.gov.bz. I'm Alison Castillo, and now you know.
Es un hecho que puedes obtener servicios ilimitados con Smart. ¿Cansado de que se corte la línea cuando más necesitas estar conectado? Es un hecho que cuando te suscribes al plan de Smart Plus, obtienes llamadas, textos y datos ilimitados. Y también es un hecho que te puedes suscribir con un grupo de 5 miembros al plan Smart Share y hasta 40 miembros al plan Smart Enterprise para llamadas, textos y datos ilimitados. Smart tiene los verdaderos planes ilimitados. Es un hecho. Sé Smart y vive de forma Smart.
In response to COVID-19, the government of Belize has implemented strict guidelines on persons to practice social distancing to reduce the spread and risk of getting COVID-19. Practicing social distancing is when one maintains a greater than usual distance away from another person. In public health, it is a practice to prevent sick persons from coming in close contact with healthy people. Recent studies are showing that social distance of 3 feet or more decreases the exposure of COVID-19. Before these restrictions, a person with COVID-19 could infect 2.5 persons in 5 days, 406 persons in 30 days. When you put into practice measures to reduce the exposure activities by half of that one infected person, in 5 days you would possibly only infect 1.25, 30 days, 15 persons. Reduce the exposure of that infected person by 75%, in 5 days you infect 0.625, in 30 days, 2.5 persons. Remember, the virus does not move on its own, people move it. The more space between you and others, the harder it is for the virus to spread. A health and wellness message from your Ministry of Health.
In partnership with the British High Commission.
Square grouper coming ashore on Belize's coastline used to be the main traces left behind by regional drug traffickers. But now boat engine thefts, attacks on island homes, and fishermen are giving Belizean authorities another glimpse into this lucrative trade and the local players involved. News 5's Dwayne Moody has more on the fight against crimes at sea.
Wet drops, part of the transnational narco-trafficking trade, were once a prevailing issue when policing the coastal waters of Belize. There was a flurry of reports of bales of cocaine from South American countries floating at sea. While that crime has become almost non-existent over the past few years, the pervasive problem now is piracy.
These criminal networks use the guise of fishermen to control the sea routes. And they use the guise of fishermen to commit these crimes at sea. And really and truly it's part of a bigger operation. The guise of being fishermen is really and truly being used to fund their narcotic activities.
Traditionally, the reports of coastal piracy increases during the months of January and February as the lobster season is coming to a close. Genuine lobster fishermen are targeted by armed thieves who attack in the dark of the night and relieve fishers of not only their produce, but also their outboard engines. In some cases, the fishers are injured in the process. Since the start of 2021, there have been 4 reported cases of attacks on fishermen at sea in southern Belize. The Fisheries Department is concerned about the effect that it is having on the multi-million-dollar industry that provides 5% of the country's gross domestic product.
Sea piracy on an annual basis, worldwide and internationally, is $1 billion operations. It's not so much in the Caribbean or in Central America. In Belize, over the past month, if you want to put a figure on the loss of these fishermen, when you add up all their vessels, their engines that was lost in these culprits, in these robberies, and their sea product, you're looking at a minimum of about $45,000 that was lost.
We intend to protect the interests of our blue economy, fisher folks, and mariners who contribute significantly to our economy.
The criminal activity is not limited to fishermen and mariners. Most recently, there was an attack on an Austrian national at a private island resort off the Placentia Peninsula. He was shot before a number of armed men robbed his home of cash and got away with his boat. The boat was discovered the following day without its engines. That incident, coupled with increasing reports of stolen engines by boaters, has led to an interagency strategy to stop these criminals in their tracks.
There are 3 groups involved. One of the group that we dealt with last week, they were charged with various fisheries offenses, and then they were also charged with being a member of a gang under the Crime Control and Criminal Justice Act. And many of them were remanded to prison on Friday. But we have 2 other groups that we believe are operating within the area. And they frequent the Stan Creek district and Honduras. So it would appear as if whenever they do their crime, whatever they would steal, they take to Honduras in exchange for guns and drugs, then come back into Belize.
Over the past 6 weeks, we've conducted 4 strike operations where we've seen over 14 persons being detained, and were handed over to the Dangriga police. 5 assets were seized. Significant fines were levied against the perpetrators who committed these crimes. So the results reflect the efforts that the law enforcement authorities are making in our sea spaces. Once it is deemed and we determine and we confirm that the camps that these guys operate from are illegal camps, those camps are destroyed.
Dwayne Moody for News 5.
And that's the news. Tonight's broadcast is available in both text and streaming video at channel5belize.com. You can also connect with us on our Facebook page at News 5 Live. I'm Marlene Cuellar. Thanks for joining us. And from all of us here at News 5, please remember to wash your hands, keep your social distance, and stay safe. Good night.